Peace and blessings. Greetings. Alafia. Uncle Chasaneb. Peace. This is your brother, Khepra Ptah, also known as Falogo for Yemi, Adishayo Opayemi. Welcome to another episode in this series, The Science of the Orishas. The Science of the Orishas is a series which will explore how the Yoruba deities operate in the world as forces of nature. This series will also cover their function not only as spiritual beings, but also factors that shape our environment as well as our psychological makeup. More importantly, we'll examine how the Orishas are here to guide us as we strive to fulfill our destiny, as well as understanding our place in the universe. So, we're going to talk about OYA today, and it just so happens that Ishram, also formerly known as Joy Allen, was one of my clients, and she actually had a reading or a consultation where she learned that her Orishas were actually Oya and Shango. Oya rules her head and Shango rules her feet. And this explains why she has such a fire in her to take care of things and get things started and get things moving. With that ability, she can actually be a trailblazer in what she is doing for the community and giving others a platform. So for those who are interested in a consultation, if you would like to know who your Orishas are, I'll be more than glad to set up an appointment with you. And we can go over your destiny as well as your Orisha, your path in life, and things that are going on in your life and how to solve certain problems. This is what the tradition of Viva has to offer. It's about helping you get married and more aligned with your destiny. So I can be reached at Khepra.Ptah at gmail.com. That's KHEPRA.PTAH@gmail.com. I also have a YouTube channel bearing my name, Khepra Ptah, as well as a Facebook page for those who would like to interact with a brother. Now, Oya. Oya began as the Orisha of the Niger River. Now, Orisha means seated consciousness, select heads. Orisha is like the guardian angels and the forces of nature that are around us and within us. Each one of us have a guardian, or male and female Orisha, that help to show us how to navigate through life. Okay. Now, Oya, she began as an Orisha of the Niger River in Nigeria. Now, her number is 9. Her color is burgundy, and her metal is copper. She likes eggplants, figs, red wine, mashed yam, palm oil, cola nuts. And usually those who are her children, taboo is smoking for them. They cannot smoke. They're not supposed to be inhaling any smoke into their lungs. And there's a reason for that. We're going to get into that. Okay? By the way, copper is the second most conductive metal when it comes to electricity. Just a side note. Okay? Because it gets into the science of her relationship with Shango. Okay? So let's look at things a little bit. Now, in the West, a lot of people are experiencing an unhealthy lifestyle pushed on them through commercialism, propaganda, and so forth. The corporations have a lack of awareness, or at least they don't seem to care about people's health and everything else. I'm not saying all corporations, but I'm talking about some of the big corporations that are responsible for just not caring about people's health, or even polluting the oceans and creating technology that keeps us off balance. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm going to explain that later on. Now, in this greed and desire type rule, from a variety of interest groups, we find ourselves seeking sense gratification And we're also constantly bombarded with misinformation. And this is mainly due to social engineering and so forth. Certain populations and certain demographics are the targeted audience and the world for which they want to go a certain direction. So they want to kind of get people to go a certain direction. Okay, there's a lot of stuff going on. Okay, what's interesting is that it's all connected to the market. So we want to point out that there's a misuse of the marketplace. The world is called the marketplace in West African culture, OYA. So heaven is called Orun. The physical realm which we live in is OYA, the marketplace. So to the Yoruba, they say that there's a woman who is in charge of the marketplace. And in Yoruba culture, women do run the marketplace, okay? Oya is known as also the guardian of the cemetery, as well as the lady of the marketplace, the owner of the marketplace. In Yoruba tradition, remember, the world is considered to be the marketplace, and it's where people come to buy, sell, and trade. So if we are all in the marketplace, then by reason, we must all be here to contribute one level or another. Unfortunately, there are corrupt elements as well that seem to be in charge of this marketplace. Not only must we take note of this, but we should also be aware of the fact that our choices, how we manage or mismanage our resources, count. And this also includes our neighbors, our loved ones, and who else are actually in the marketplace with us. And this is life's condition, as to the point that when we go through an enjoyable experience, we tend to try to hold on to such an experience forever. But since life is constantly changing, such a moment must pass. And we suffer when we try to hold on and attempt to prevent the change. So we live in a world of perpetual change and transformation. And this is where Oya comes in. This is the reason we must understand Oya as a very powerful force of nature. Hence, Oya has the authority to bring about death to not only our bodies, but also to the circumstances that we may have grown comfortable with that no longer serve us. You see, Oya don't play, okay? Now, she runs the marketplace, but at the same time, when she gets angry, anything can happen because she comes in a tornado, she comes in a hurricane. Man, Oya will pick your cow up and throw it across the street. Okay, that's how powerful Oya is. And that's just little compared to what she's capable of. She represents that energy we must change whether we want to or not. And therefore, she represents and she presents us with an opportunity of growth, change, transformation throughout history. We see that civilizations rise and fall with the spirit of previous civilizations are reborn through new civilizations. So we see where empires also rise and fall. And from the shards of these very empires, new empires emerge, taking on the batons of the previous ones. So our universe is full of energies that expand and contract like an out-breath and an in-breath. And here's no permanence in this particular realm. All we're dealing with here is perpetual change, which is why attachment to anything can be deadly. The cycles of life is all about birth, life, death, and rebirth, and cycles within cycles. So we find ourselves constantly experiencing minor deaths and rebirths, and a form of various circumstances in which we may live and thrive. These are all to teach us how to adapt and how to thrive and how to move beyond where we are comfortable in being, so that we may make new discoveries about ourselves and the world in which we live. In the physical realm, what we call the marketplace is a place of constant exchange. However, beyond the marketplace, there is the realm we call Orun, which means the source. A lot of people who are authors of Yoruba literature has translated this to mean heaven, but it also means the source. And this is our true home and original state of being, the pure quality of our unconditioned eternal self. Oya constantly reminds us to let go of that which is not permanent. Our universe is holographic, transient, and forever changing. Death is part of the process of life. Nothing here is permanent, and we're all borrowing these forms that we have to give up eventually. Hence, Oya is the one who guards the gates of the cemetery, keeping track of every soul which makes its transition into the realm of the ancestors. Oya is the force of the hurricane. She is also known as Yansa, the mother of nine. Oya is the favorite wife of Shango. Being the power of the hurricane, she destroys that which is old and no longer serves us. However, she can also be unpredictable, making her even more dangerous than Shango, her husband. Oya's colors can range from burgundy to the 7 colors of the rainbow, and she gives us the ability to see the other side and tap into the spiritual plane. Actually, some would say 9 colors. There's also other colors that are between the 7, but she deals with 9. So remember, Oya's colors are always 9. Okay, her number is always 9. She deals with the ancestors, whose number is also 9. So it's important to have a relationship with Oya because she can help us gain access to the ancestors. Oya governs the ancestral realm of communication, and those who are children of Oya are said to be witches and wizards with remarkable abilities when it comes to communicating with those who have crossed over. So there's no such thing as death. You cannot die. You only go through constant transformation. However, the process that we call death is transitional. So energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but it always manifests in some form or another. Now, Shango, who is said to be the king of the Orishas, had a relationship with the loyal Oba, the beautiful Oshun, and last but not at all least, the fearless Oya. And what are the reasons why she is Shango's favorite wife? It is because she never hesitated to go into battle with her man, fighting fiercely beside him, while together conquering and vanquishing their enemies. So when Shango saw where Oya was going at it, happened to vanquish the enemy, Shango was like, God damn, Oya. He couldn't let that go. And they have been inseparable ever since. So Oya was so much for a rider for Shango. It is said that when Shango was deserted by everyone else, it was Oya who stood by his side. Now, before she was with Shango, she was also with Ogun. And she also learned various techniques of battle from Ogun. In fact, it is said that Ogun started off with copper tools of war. Oya took those tools, and Ogun had to get new ones made of iron. That is because Oya deals with changes. See, so Ogun represented in that stage when he was dealing with the copper tools, the hunters and gatherers and the warriors, But when he was given those iron tools, when he had to make the iron tools, he had to evolve, and he set up what you call an agricultural society. So a lot of his tools are also agricultural, along with those tools that are meant for him to do blacksmithing. He's still the blacksmith, okay, because he's the forger of weapons. But anyway, Oya causes change. Oya causes us to evolve, you see. When we hold on to things that no longer serve us, we become weighed down with things, and we lose a lot of energy trying. And this can include not only possessions, but relationships as well. Now, Oya represents the whirlwind that destroys all in its path that refuses to move. And we'll find that when we resist things, it appears that they're taken away. It appears that the things that we hold dear to us, when it's time to let them go, it seems that they're taken away by force. Or we will be put in a situation that keeps us in a state of stagnation and self-destruction. This is actually self-inflicted because we won't let it go. Hence, to hold on to something that no longer serves us is in itself self-destructive behavior, even if we consider this to be love. Let's not forget that Oya is the lady of the marketplace. The teachings of Viva and Orisha maintain that the world is a marketplace, but heaven is our home. So we are here for a temporary moment in time. These physical bodies are vehicles for our spirit, aka the indwelling divinity, to express itself through. The expression is God, Olodumare, manifesting through creation. That's why each and every one of us have in me, which is a breath, and Ori, which is consciousness. These are aspects and parts of Olodumare that dwells within us. Olodumare is said to be the supreme being in the Yoruba teachings. So we are spirit beings in physical bodies, which is why our home is the spiritual dimension. However, the physical realm gives us an opportunity to be an expressive force as we gain mastery of the four elements plus the fifth. Now, for those who are familiar with cult tradition in the West, it's the same elements: earth, wind, fire, water, and spirit, or some would say ether. You see, OYA is indeed the element of wind. But understand that these elements are not just elements, but represent a process of constant flux. Exactly, Brother Phoenix, or Phoenix Gene. We must let these things go. When we hold on to them, we're just stopping our growth. We're stopping our evolution. Okay? Hence, Oya's the hurricane. She deals with the evolution, the revolution that's necessary for something that is old to be removed. That's why these four elements, plus the fifth, represent a process. So understand, these elements are not just elements, but they represent a process of constant flux. Life is in constant flux, change, transformation, a constant rotation of what may appear to be reoccurring events. So the Odu that we talk about in Ifa, these are the 16 matrices of existence. These Odu, which break down into 256 different combinations. They're energy patterns that contain the stories of our being and the universe itself. They break down into constantly shifting throughout that which we perceive to be reality. It makes up the stories in our holographic universe. So Ya is the ruler of the lungs, the breath, which is why many times, her children are told that they cannot smoke. They're not supposed to smoke cigarettes and cigars and so forth because it's harmful for the lungs, you see. So it's the use of our lungs which allow us to take in the breath. The word spirit, or the word spirit, comes from the Latin spiritus. And spiritus means breath. Okay? It is true that the way we breathe, we cultivate the quality of our lives and maintain the functions of our spirit, expressing itself through the earth, also known as the physical form. So that's the earth element in which we're talking about. Your physical form represents the earth element. So after Obatala created human vessels from clay, Olodumare placed his breath in each of them, bringing them to life. By the way, Olodumare can also be a she. Olodumare is male and female, okay? The Yoruba word for breath, world, word, interesting. World contains a word. So world contains word. So I keep on saying world instead of word. See, it's the word that helps form and shape our world. And the way you bring forth creativity is through the expressions of those words, which is why you got to be careful the things you say and how you think. Because everything around us is made up of a sound vibration, words. We got to be careful the words we speak, because the words that we speak have shaped our world. The Yoruba word for breath is emi, meaning both spirit and breath. So when we breathe a certain way, it shifts our ability to be present as well as connect with the various aspects and faculties within ourselves. The calm and the smooth way to breathe through the diaphragm, breathing in through the nose, breathing out of the mouth. Take some time and breathe. Slow down the breath and breathe in through the nose. Breathe out through the mouth. But don't breathe in through the mouth and out the nose, okay? So when you're doing your breath work, your breathing meditation, try sitting down, counting the four as you're breathing in and counting the four as you're breathing out. Inhale, exhale. That's how our universe functions. Expansion, contraction, contraction, expansion, contraction, expansion. You see, It's all about expansion when it comes to building a community. Okay, we want to grow as a common unity. So one of the words for the Yoruba place of culture is Ile Ife, what they believe was the beginning of the world, and everything expanded from there. Ile Ife, the house of expansion. So when you calm down and you breathe smoothly, you have a better connection with spirit because you're expanding. In the tradition of Indian yoga, it's called pranayama. Prana is the breath, yama, control. Pranayama, breath control, meaning that you're stopping the breath. Yama is also the lord of death, by the way. So when you're dealing with the breath, pranayama is when you transcend even the awareness that you're breathing. If you do breathing exercises while you're meditating, you're going to come to this point that it's going to feel like you're not breathing, or you're breathing very slow. And you're going beyond even the awareness of the breath itself, meaning that you're in a state of trance. And that's when you can actually pray and visualize the things that you want to see manifest in your life. Also, that's when visions and things come to you, because you're going beyond the fluctuations of the mind. So in the tradition of Indian yoga, I spoke about what they call pranayama. We have that too. In fact, when you're aligned, you do it naturally. You breathe correctly, naturally. But since we live in this Western society, we learn how to breathe incorrectly. So we have a lot of anxiety, especially the brothers. We want to walk around with our chest out and so forth. So we start concentrating here. There's also the full body breaths and so forth too that you can learn. Look it up. It's a beautiful practice. You're getting the breathing exercises. You're going to trance. You see, you're connecting with the breath. You're connecting with the energies of OYA. She's the breath. Gaining mastery over the breath as well as sound helps to shift the quality of trance in which we are in, helping us to change our personality, which comes from the word persona, which means mask, as well as through sound. So in order to speak, sing, and create sound from our vocals, there must be a certain amount of wind element involved, because sound travels through the air. The ability to communicate has a lot to do with mastery of the element of wind. Also, these things are sacred to OYA. And because we breathe shallow and incorrectly, we live a life of dis-ease and dysfunction and lacking the ability to concentrate. So we take the time out to breathe deep, and deep breaths from the diaphragm. We will also learn to relax more, which helps us to live a more sufficient life. So it's good to remember that you don't die. We just simply transform. And throughout life, we're constantly going through transformations, you see. However, the highest aspect of ourselves is pure spirit, which is in itself is unconditional. So you want to tap into that part of you that's unconditional, because we're going through conditions. And the problem is that we have begun identifying with these conditions. And this is why so many people are so unhappy. It is living in the physical realm in which we go through conditions. It is OYA who declares that her husband Shango did not hang himself. In actuality, death is only a transition. Nothing is permanent here in this realm. Not even death itself is permanent. However, it is this process in which we let go of all the attachments. But once you pass away from this physical form, you are able to take nothing with you. You're not going to be able to take anything, your car, your house, or nothing. But at the same time, you have to be responsible, and it's our responsibility to leave a legacy for our children and our children's children. You see, the Yoruba tradition teaches that we are reborn to our children and our children's children. In other words, you are your ancestors. Therefore, while we're living in the world, we learn how to detach from those things that don't really push us forward. Hence, OYA is the lady at the marketplace, but we must remember what it takes and what takes place in the marketplace. And the answer is trade and exchange. So when you're working with the realm of spirit, there's an exchange. One form is sacrifice that may be in the form of fruit offerings or, if necessary, even animals. Okay? However, sometimes you have to sacrifice that animal within yourself. You got to transcend that animalistic part of yourself that holds you from your evolution. Okay? I'm not saying disrespect it, but transcend it. The marketplace also gives you an opportunity to present what it is that you have to offer. If the world is a marketplace, then what it is that you have to bring to the marketplace? What is it that you have to offer in exchange? While we align ourselves with our destiny, we tap into our gifts and we're able to define what it is that we have to offer our families, our community, the world, and last but not least, not to mention ourselves. Okay? You got to give yourself permission to receive. Tomorrow is never guaranteed, and therefore life is precious. And OYA reminds us why we must value our lives and value our loved ones, because you never know when someone close to you may have to leave and go to the next round. But there are also many other forms of death in which we encounter. And sometimes this death can be the end of a career, the end of a job, and the end of a relationship, and not to mention the death of the ego. And when you go deep enough into meditation, you get into the zone of a temporary death of the ego. This is the sort of death where you rise above the identity in which we have developed in this particular realm called the marketplace in the form of earth. So hurricanes take place on many levels. Now, in the physical realm, hurricanes begin with moist air rising from the surface of an ocean. And this warm, moist air rising from the warm ocean water is shifting to the cooler air. It leads to the forming of storm clouds. Then these collide with other winds, creating a violent spinning vortex of these thunderous clouds. And the winds of a hurricane can move up to 100 to 200 miles per hour. Okay? Now, they're saying that there are storms, hurricanes that come right off the west coast of Africa and then come and hit the country, hit the United States. Marcus Garvey also said, "See me coming in the whirlwind." So the ancestors can return in the form of a whirlwind and execute justice if necessary. So a lot of times we also have what I call the mental and emotional storm, tornadoes and hurricanes. This is when you have a vortex of thoughts and feelings disturbing the peace of mind. A lot of times this is when you're trying to go to sleep at night and you have so many thoughts going through your head that you're unable to sleep. And one of the methods that I would suggest when this happens is that you're going to get a piece of paper, you're going to write down all your thoughts, everything. Because what it is, your mind is trying to hold on to this stuff. Okay? Write it down, put your mind at ease, and you'll find the more you do it, the more easy it will be for you to go to sleep. The more you do this, the more your thoughts will begin to subside. Those also keeping us up, those thoughts that keep you tossing and turning at night. So it's good to learn and study breath work and engage in practices like Qigong, moving meditation, the balancing of the right and left hemisphere of the brain, you see, while simultaneously moving with the breath. When you breathe and slow down the breath, you will also be able to slow down the thoughts, which in turn will regulate how you feel, you see. Ashe. Yes, transcend the animal within oneself. Sacrifice the chicken in yourself. Transcend, end the trance of that particular situation. Emotions, these are all trance states. To get caught up in them is to get caught up in the whirlwind of energy and motion and trance states. Anger is a trance state. So when you breathe and slow down the breath, you'll be able to slow down the thoughts. You'll feel a lot better. And this is how you're able to move within the eye of the storm without being swept up. Whenever you're in the middle of a storm, you have to learn how to move with the storm. When you're in the middle of a hurricane or a tornado, it is best to move with the storm if you're in the center of it, which means that you want to also learn how to be centered within yourself. Now, OYA, remember I told you how much Shango loves OYA. That's because OYA is Shango's ride or die. Shango fell in love with her because of her ability to assist Shango in vanquish. One second, please. Just had a call. All right, then everybody, is everybody there with me? Because it looked like we had a call. But anyway, it's very important for us to get connected with the breath and for us to keep on moving because we are spiritual beings having this physical experience. But a lot of times, when it comes to making moves, we have to continue to stick with our destiny and stick with our path. Otherwise, we'll find ourselves scattered. Shango loves Oya because he saw Oya doesn't play. He saw that Oya will take your house and throw it, so that Oya will scatter everything necessary so that you can grow. When people are not able to find themselves within the eye of the storm and they're not able to grow, then they meet resistance. And a lot of times it's this resistance coming from within themselves, you see. So she would give life to Shango's fire at times, and she was impressed with him, and he was impressed with her powers of the whirlwind and the hurricane, and seeing her destructive abilities to tear off rooftops and toss houses away, and uproot trees and toss them in far distances. Oya is definitely no joke. Shango may burn the house down, but Oya will turn into a tornado with winds going 150 miles per hour. Then she will take your house and throw it down the street. And she picks up cows, cars, and trucks and flings that shit. Oya is like I say, she is like a storm, like Storm from the X-Men. That's why Shango be like, damn, woman. But he could always rely on Oya to be at his side when it comes time to battle. And there's another story that talks about how Shango was the king of Oyo. Not wanting to see his power challenged, he made two of his most powerful generals fight to the death. The surviving general came after him and challenged him, and this led to the people questioning him. So in the story, the people began to desert Shango because they saw him as a tyrant. This led to Shango committing suicide, or at least attempting to. And it was Oya who declared that the king did not hang. It is also said that thunderstorms of huge proportions shook the entire kingdom, and Shango's closest followers declared that Shango was actually an Orisha. It is also said that, like Shango, Oya, like her husband, became an Orisha after death. To this day, as a couple, Oya and Shango are said to be inseparable. Oya is seen as the wind that precedes a thunderstorm. So when we're able to stop the fluctuation of our minds from disturbing us, we learn how to cultivate the breath, and we're able to reach higher states of consciousness and awareness. And it's with the breath in which we cultivate the life force energy, as well as bring oxygen to the brain. And this is why it's important for us to take care of our lungs, as well as figure out ways of regulating and keeping from having an overproduction of mucus in our body so we can breathe freely. It is through the breath in which the mind can either be made calm or excited. Oya is said to be the mother of Abiku, and Abiku is the spirit of stillborn children. Some believe that the spirits that become stillborn children come from the forest and enter the womb of a woman and torture her by becoming a baby in her womb that dies over and over again. The baby comes, the baby dies. Then the baby comes again, then the baby dies. So it's said that Oya is the mother of 9, but she's also the mother of 9 stillborn children. So when a woman has this issue, the diviners get together and they consult to see whether or not it's actually Abiku. And if so, they will take further measurements to do what is necessary to appease that spirit so that the woman can become the mother of a living child. Now, Shango, having the utmost respect for Arya, also knows that before she was with him, she was with Ogun. And it was from Ogun that she acquired 2 machetes in which she used this to go into battle. Another thing to remember about the sacred breath, okay, is that within our atmosphere, there's a subtle mass of divine particles in which our very being feeds upon. Where we practice proper breathing and movement, we can absorb this solar energy into our very being and nurture ourselves by absorbing these particles. We have the ability to feed upon a type of energy that appears to be beyond the senses, yet the benefits are extraordinary. Hippolyta? And it's possible that there's a connection. One of the things that when it comes to working with the pantheons, we're understanding that these are forces of nature. You know, sometimes they're ancestral beings combined with forces of nature. But we'll see that these variations, exist throughout the world. You'll see similar stories that are quite similar to your Orishas and other traditions. I say that we're more similar than we are different. But I digress and say it's good for people to actually learn and study and make comparisons. The Orishas don't want us to be constricted. We're not here to be constricted. We're here to expand. And sometimes you got to go beyond these boundaries that people may consider to be cutoffs just because there are cultural differences. But sometimes the cultural trappings may just be the clothing of universal principles. Am I making sense? A lot of times we have universal principles and a universal story, but it's told in a method that's necessary for the group of people where they're at in which they've adapted to. Let's say if you're by the water, you're going to see water as a beneficial deity. If you're thriving because of the water, if you're thriving because of the sun, if the sun has emphasis, then the sun's going to be a beneficial deity, you see. Not to say that these forces of nature cannot be communicated with. It's not something that's all in our heads, but it's part of us being connected to the universal consciousness and the universal mind. And all the minds are linked at the top, okay? So we have this ability to feed upon this energy, and it can help us expand our influence on the environment itself. The mastery of the breath with sound and movement is a great way to expand our auric field. Such expansion can actually be felt by those around us. And this also awakens the higher cognitive and intuitive abilities within the individual. And there is the dimension in which we all tap into where we can receive information and knowledge from beyond. Yet it is all around us, saturating the very spaces in which we think are empty. And what we can tap into is this residual information that lingers from civilizations long ago. Like her husband, Shango, who represents justice, OYA also is a warrior for justice. And by the way, women who have been abused, they go to OYA, who goes for bad for these abused women. They go to OYA for protection or deliverance from such a relationship. So the abuse of women also would symbolize the disregard for the intuitive function of the right brain hemisphere and the emotional body. So a lot of the Western religions for a long time would suppress the intuitive aspects that came and dealt with the right brain hemisphere. You have to deal with the left and you have to deal with the right. You have to have balance, you see. But also this manifested into physical oppression as well for a long time, okay? So when we're dealing with OYA, you can call on OYA for justice. She doesn't take no crap, okay? So we got to respect her. Otherwise, she might toss your car around or cause you to not be able to focus and think or gain access to the psychic realm. During thunderstorms is a great time to praise Oya as we meditate. After every thunderstorm, the atmosphere is charged with negative ions in which are beneficial and can actually energize us. And this is good for breathing these invigorating particles. We bring these negative ions into our bloodstream. We begin to become invigorated with a boost of energy that will alleviate the feelings of being tired from stress and from states of depression. In Chinese medicine, the lungs contribute to depression if there is a blockage. So in the words of Mantak Chia, one way to fight depression is by focusing on white light around the lungs. And then you're going to make this sound. Okay, that's one way that you remove negative energy from the lungs. And you can also imagine a smile on your lungs. From time to time, if you're going to go to a cemetery, it's good for you to bring 9 pennies with you and leave it at the gate of the cemetery, or bring an eggplant as an offering to OYA. For those who want to work with the cemetery, they're going to be taking anything from the cemetery. It's always good to leave something, whether it's fruit or flowers. But OYA, she loves eggplant. You can take this eggplant, cut it up into 9 pieces, acknowledging OYA, and then you might want to leave something there as well. Because what you don't want is you don't want anything following you from the cemetery and following you home. Okay? So sometimes people might throw salt behind their back, or they may cross water or something to stop the spirit from the cemetery from following you home. A little bit of extra information. OYA is also linked to Egun. Egun meaning the ancestors in the Yoruba tradition. So if you don't have Orisha, you can always work with your ancestors, who are our relatives on the other side. As beings in this physical realm, we are to respect death just as much as we respect life. It is death that makes our lives precious and meaningful. So may you live a fulfilling life. May you all fulfill your destiny. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Karmic Dynasty and support Sister Ishram. And continue to strive. Move forward. Until next time, Odabo.
Gratitude for being here on Karmic Dynasty. We appreciate you being here. So, as we are looking forward to that moment is here, we are going to share some of the information from the reading you did for me.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to speak to everyone first about how to contact you for a reading? And so then once they do it, I'll share my reading with them, my reading experience.
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly. You can hit me up at this number, 206-960-7999. And you can also reach me at this email, Khepra Ptah. That's KHEPRA.PTAH@gmail.com.
We appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so the storms, Phoenix Jean, yes, that's why I love the storms. I walk through storms. I found out. I had one time somebody, they were looking for me, so to speak. And they saw me walking up the street by choice through in a storm. I mean, trees blowing, just rain hitting
Right.
me, and I was just casually walking, just chilling. And a number of my grandchildren, they love to play in the rain and the storms as well. So with the reading, there were questions I had at first. One of the questions was, can I record the meeting? Is there anything I need to prepare for ahead of time before we met for my meeting? So questions like that, I spoke with Khepra beforehand, and then we met by phone. And he, can you talk to everybody about the part before? I don't. It was in the beginning, and you were reading something.
Mm.
Like you were shaking something, reading something.
Mm-hmm. Now, the tool that I use is called a
Cool.
puele.
Okay.
Okay. It looks like a chain. It started out as being made with beads with wooden seed-like, actually seeds from what's called a patri or puele is from a certain tree. But I have a metallic puele. So that is what I use when it comes to reading people who may come for a consultation. The way it works is that certain patterns will appear when I toss this particular tool. Okay, now I respect Opele also as an Orisha. Opele is considered an Orisha himself. So the chain is considered the servant to another divination system called the Akin. akin to the 16 palm nuts that we use in divination. So
Okay.
a lot of it is connected to the tree. You might could say it's another form of root work, okay, but it's of a tradition, okay. The tree is very important in Ifa tradition. The sacred palm tree. You're gonna, run across a lot to do with trees when it comes to a lot of African forms of spirituality as well. You know, you discover that the tree, in the beginning, was identified with the Great Mother. Trees are the oldest objects worshipped in African tradition, representing um, not only the Great Mother, but also the ancestors. So your roots going deep into the earth and expanding into the heavens, as above, so below. So special respect is paid to trees. Look into hoodoo, look into palo, look into just about all African ATRs. You can discover how powerful trees and plants are.
Okay. So speaking of roots, so at the beginning of the consultation, you got my name from me and my date of birth. I remember not actually my maiden name.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So from my maiden name, and based on you said I look like a root woman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for those of you who don't know, my maiden name is Turnip Seed. I'm gonna type that in because people be like, "What did you say?"
Mm-hmm.
So with that, and you said how I look, I have root woman herbs. I will use herbs and soils to heal. Could you
Mm-hmm.
speak to us more on that and explain to me how I look like a root woman?
I can pick up on that. I can look
Okay.
at you and see that. Now keep in mind, a lot of our ancestors, they were brought here to the Americas, and they came from the South, and they were basically brought to the other states, or they migrated even. A lot of our ancestors have come from not only the Yoruba people, but also from the Congo in Angola and so forth. And they were very connected with trees. You're dealing with hoodoo. You may have be familiar with the John the Conqueror root. One of the
Mm-hmm.
favorites. Um, one of my favorites is to work with the Siempre Viva plant. You know, Now this deals with immortality. It's a plant that deals with regeneration. So when I take a bath in that, I'm trying to renew something. I'm trying to regenerate, right? Or you can also work with herbs, like for instance cinnamon. You want to
Mm.
deal with
I do
cinnamon.
work with cinnamon.
Mm. That brings in wealth. That brings in money. A lot of people will use that to bring in wealth, and they'll have it in their home, or take a bath in it, or to
Mm-hmm.
attract. You may bathe in honeysuckle and so forth, banana, no, orange peel uh, juice and so forth.
Yeah, I learned
Also,
about those two in
mm-hmm,
the first video of the Science of the Orisha series with Oshun.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So honeysuckle is one I plan to add in the orange peels.
mm-hmm,
Not done orange. I've worked with lemon peels, citrus peels, other citrus peels
mm-hmm.
from the fruit. So in my baths. Also from my date of birth, from the day I arrived here in 1974, according to that calendar,
Mm-hmm.
you also talked about the master numbers.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So, speaking on master numbers, and if people don't have master numbers, are there any numbers that you would address from their date of birth for like
Mm-hmm.
anyone who doesn't have them? I'm not sure. And I'm not to get into like a personal reading of somebody else's and tell all their personal business, but how do you speak on people's numbers from their
Mm-hmm.
birthday besides master numbers?
Okay. Well, there's the number representing your path. You know what I'm saying? Let's say if you have a one, then you're meant to be a leader. You know, or you may have a number two. Shows that you have a certain amount of receptivity, right? Three, you may have some philosophical aspects to you, and four, dealing with the ability to lay a foundation. Four can also mean that you may be financially well off, and so forth. Um, these numbers, though, having a master number, because I don't have master numbers in my path. I just have a 1. I'm a 1 though. You see what I mean? So the thing about it is, if you have like 11s, if you have like 22s, then that means that you have, you may be highly intuitive. You may be a teacher. If you have 33, you may be a master builder, you see. But it does not necessarily mean that you cannot take yourself to the fullest according to what that number is, because it represents your path and destiny, you see. So
Okay.
it represents the path in which you're going to be living. Now, some people may change their name, you know, and they may try to break down the name of that particular number, you know, so they're
Right.
trying to take in a different vibration. So it represents the vibration that you were on when you came in. The reason why we ask you for your mother's first name is because she represents the vibration that you came on. She was the portal on which you came here. Not
Yeah,
to
that
say,
was the other item you asked for.
mm-hmm,
You said
yeah,
she represents the portal when we came here.
mm-hmm, correct. And, you know, it's good for us to know your number because it also helps not only when we call upon the spirits, you know, we're also saying that we want to home in on the person who was born. Let's say he was born on November 26, 1974. We call upon the spirit because, you know, to home in on the one who was born November 26, 1974. So we're homing in on who this person is, their name, who their mother is, and so forth. And I'd love to do a workshop. We can do a class and talk about numerology as well. You know?
Yes, yes. And
Mm-hmm.
add, yes. I've done a broadcast on numerology. It was based on the address to your home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have one of them on my channel. So definitely anybody interested, tune in. Um, so also,
Yep.
yes, you spoke of highly intuitive. You told me that in my reading, and the information comes from the ethers, and I get downloads.
Correct.
That's some of the
Yeah.
verbiage you use with me.
A lot of times, if you got OYA around you, you get downloads. Now, something else I'm going to name about numerology when it comes to Orisha. Um, SU deals with 3. Okay. SU deals with communication. You know. 1 deals with a particular Odu. You could say that deals with Obatala, even though his main number is 8. Okay. You're dealing with numbers like 16, that's dealing with Ifa. 6 is Shango. 5 is Oshun. You know, Ogun, just like Eshu, his number can be 3, can also be 7. The ancestors, their number can be 9. Now, notice 9 is also in numerology, in Western numerology. It deals with humanity and so forth in psychology.
Mm-hmm.
Psychology is dealing with the study of the soul, the psyche, the psychology. But you're also dealing with your egun. Your egun has a lot to do with how you think, because your ancestors, your egungun, and your ancestors are constantly working through you as well. And one of the reasons why we want to do certain rituals to the ancestors to appease them is that we can get positive results of how the ancestors work through us. We don't want the ancestors behaving in a negative way because we didn't appease them, or we want to make sure that we're working with the ancestors who are at the feet of Olodumare, those ancestors who are of a higher vibration. We don't want negative ancestors. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say if you knew ancestors who didn't have the best of character, you know, you may not want to deal with the murder or anybody else. You might want to just light a candle and elevate that energy. Um,
Okay.
so ancestors are important. Knowing your vibration is an important thing. Um, there are people who do astrology and numerology along with Ifa. Ifa has its own kind of numerology. You know, let's say when you're dealing with the Orishas, you're learning about their numbers, but you're also learning about their colors. And therefore, it's a
Mm-hmm.
form of path working. If you have that 3, you know, well, Eshu deals with 3. So Eshu is a good communicator, you know. 2 is the number of receptivity, but there's also the Abeji, the twins. So you got the twins representing the duality. They're also said to be the children of Shango and Oshun. You know, there's a story about how when Shango was messing around and OYA was like, "You're a womanizer, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna trap you in the house." Trapped him in the
Mm-hmm.
house. Wouldn't let him go nowhere. Anytime he tried to go out, a death spirit would come and block the door and stop him from leaving. So Oshun had to come and get him up on out of there. And Oshun disguised him as a woman to sneak him past all the death zombies that were around the, the yard of the house. Now, of course, you know that Oya's house is also considered the marketplace. You see what I mean? So there's a metaphor there. Because the way I look at that, it also talks about even the divine masculine tapping into divine feminine in order to transcend and leave out the current situation or condition in which we find ourselves in. You see, so in that regard, you learn the story of Shango being able to leave that particular situation, but he also ended up impregnating Oshun, and she gave birth to the Abeji twins.
Hmm.
The Abeji twins represent the masculine and feminine energy that pervades the universe, or the divine twins. They can represent both identical and fraternal. Now, the Yoruba people are known to have a huge amount of twins. In fact, they're probably like one of the leading people on the planet who have identical twins, left and right.
Okay. So thank you for the clarity on some of the numbers. So when people contact you for a personal reading, they have an idea of how you will approach the numerology with their reading. So in my chart, which you just said also kind of, you mentioned that I'm definitely not here to kiss ass. I
Oh
have an
no!
urge to make things better, to
Yeah,
serve, and
yeah,
I'm capable of serious business and being a business owner.
yes, you are.
And I'm a doer and not a talker. Now,
Yes.
I had this before you start continue for me. A few days ago, I had a broadcast. It was like
Mm-hmm.
3.5 hours. It started out just to be an hour, but I was engaging with my audience and we were interacting, and we took it a step further into some other topics. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was addressing how I was addressing how I'm about my business. When people contact me, I am here to assist people in
Mm-hmm.
and variety, the marketplace in all
Mm-hmm.
types of forms. I can assist you. I had somebody, I
Yes.
gave them my social media card, and they
Mm-hmm.
were like, well, what do you do? I said, well, what do you need?
Right.
I can assist you. And
Right.
but the thing, what I'm not gonna do, here go my social media card. What I'm not gonna do is sit by and wait while you twiddle your thumbs and you indecisive and all. Come back to me when you're ready to make some moves. That's all I can do is make a move.
Yeah.
If you would speak to us about what you were going to say when I mentioned I'm not here to kiss ass and I make things happen and serious
Yeah.
business.
Well, first of all, now they have Odu and they also have the Orishas. This because of the spirits around you. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You got that connection. You got that connection with your Shango. You got that connection with Oya. You got the connection with both the husband and the wife. And Shango, having
Mm,
your feet, you find yourself in positions of authority and leadership. You see what I mean? And Oya's going to make sure that you're connected with the marketplace, but you also have the ability to sense and home in on people when they're not telling the truth or being truthful with you. You have that gut instinct. Okay. A lot of times you have the hunches that come to you. And when you have Oya at your head, chances are you may see spirits.
yes.
Okay.
All of that. Yes.
Sometimes you may see spirits zip around you at night, especially when you were younger. You used to see spirits, right?
Yes.
You still see them from time to time. And you're
Yes.
also clairaudient. You hear voices, you hear the spirits talking to
Yes.
you in your ear. You see? So, you can be able to tap into these energies. You know what I mean? You can cultivate a relationship with these Orishas, but especially if that's the Orisha on your path, and that's telling us that your destiny is linked to those Orisha, which means that you're here to do some work in the marketplace. They say in the world is a marketplace. So the world is your oyster.
Yes. With that, you also said that you were speaking about destiny, and you mentioned the hand of Ifa marries us to our destiny,
That is
and
correct.
ensures we're not removed from the planet. And in my reading, you said the planet before my appointed time.
Correct. Yes. A lot of times we are making the pact because there's also cosmic forces that are not very happy with humanity. Okay. So the reason why we get what is called, this is the Ide right here, right? This symbolizes my marriage to destiny, you know. So as an Awo, or you know, as a priest of Orumala or a disciple of Orumala, I'm married to Orumala. Orumala is the spirit of destiny. Orumala is the spirit of divination. You see? So therefore, I made a pact. I made a pact with the Rumala, with my hand of Ifa. When you get your hand of Ifa, you're making a pact that you're going to fulfill and work with your destiny, but also there's these cosmic forces that you're telling, look, I have married my destiny, and therefore you're protected from these particular cosmic forces. It is said that the elders of the night are not very happy with humanity, so they will do things that will throw our lives into disarray. You're telling the universe that I'm choosing to fulfill the destiny and the pact that I made with Olodumare before I came to this planet.
Yes. Now, some people, I've been in social media for about 3 years now, and all of this time, I have known you for the most
Mm-hmm.
part. Probably minus the first few months I got going and got started, but otherwise I have. Some people have asked me about our relationship type, like they come to me and be like, "Oh, how's Khepra doing? Oh, when the next time Khepra gonna be?" I'm like, I don't know when Khepra gonna go. Khepra is over there on the West Coast. I'm in the Midwest. I can't go knock on his door. I don't know what you're talking about. But definitely recently, with some medical diagnosis I have received, being in contact with you and definitely have the relationship we have formed is an encouragement to me. Words and phrases like, I'm not going anywhere before it's my time, that's something I know. But to hear it and how you put it is very encouraging. As Phoenix Jean has mentioned, your aura is tranquil. She can go into meditation, and I do the same thing. So for anyone who, I definitely encourage you all to get a reading from Khepra Ptah. Definitely, if anything else, I promise you just call him and ask him a question. Everything you're seeing here today, you'll receive that and maybe more just from a phone call. He has his own YouTube channel. It's in the ticker below. I am encouraging him to build his YouTube channel while he's over here helping me. A lot of you know Khepra from some other groups that I was with, and he continues to be here because he's aware that you are looking for him at times. But I have been recently encouraging Khepra Ptah to go build his YouTube channel because he has a following there. So at some point, it's possible you don't see him anymore on Karmic Dynasty. That's because he is more so on his own YouTube channel. So go over there and support him. Subscribe, look at his videos. I know he has uploads that will be over there from the Karmic Dynasty platform. So all of his works goes with him. So you can check him out there. Of course, I'm not turning you all away. You can definitely stay around here too. But check us both out. Now, in my reading, also, you talked to me about Eshu, Alegba, and you also mentioned that I need to look into taking a herb to blood cleanse. And actually, about a year, actually at the time you gave me that reading, I had just ordered some shepherd's herb purse for blood cleansing. So yes, the things you say, I was on it. There are things that I still need to look into and how I want to approach them, such as initiation. So would you speak to us about Eshu, Alegba, initiations, etc.?
Okay, now Eshu, when you're working with Orisha, you're dealing with Eshu Alegba, or Elegbara, or Alagbara. When you're dealing with Ifa, okay, which goes into a different form of discipline when you're working more with the divination of the Yodu. And this is something I'm going to explain more and go into detail. Eshu Odara is what you receive from the Awo, you know, when you're working with Ifa. All Eshus are connected to Eshu Odara, Eshu of the Great Transformation. Okay. So if you come through me, since I'm in Awo, you're going to receive Eshu Odara. But Eshu Odara links to all the other aspects of Eshu, including Elekba or Elekbara or Elekwa, if you may. Eshu Odara helps to open up the way for communication. Whenever you work with Eshu, you deliver communication. So this is why you have to approach Eshu before you approach any other Orisha. You start with Eshu first, right? You call upon Eshu. You ask Eshu to open up the way. You ask Eshu to help you make decisions. Eshu guards the crossroads and so forth. You know, you ask Eshu to give you the voice to communicate. You know, ask Eshu to guide you to the path of maintaining Ewapwele, right? Which is good character, balanced character. So you want to deal with Eshu. Then you have your other warriors, right? So you get your set of warriors. There's Ogun. Ogun is the one who clears the path. Okay, they show him using his machetes to remove the shrubs and bushes that gets in our way. And then Ogun, he travels with Ochozi. He's the divine tracker. He never misses his mark. So Eshu deals with the communication, the command. Ogun comes to clear the path, and then Ochozi comes to hit the target. He helps you hit your mark. So when you first come in, right, if you're interested in taking this journey, you receive your warriors in your hand of Ifa. You know, so your warriors will help you start you out with being able to communicate with this basic set of Orisha. Now, it may seem basic, but there's a whole lot to learn with just those three. Then you have your hand of Ifa, you know, so you are connecting with Orumala. Orumala is the spirit of destiny. Hold, please. Orumala deals with divination, but Orumala also helps give wisdom to his devotees. See, so each and every one of us are here to gain higher wisdom. There's an aspect of intelligence linked to Orumala called Ella. You saw Ella is the light. Ella is that light within, or that light in which we connect with, that delivers messages to the Awo, so, or to the priest, or whoever is been to initiate into the mysteries. Now, there's a difference when you're receiving an Orisha and then getting initiated into the mysteries of that Orisha. Receiving the Orisha means that you may simply have the pot that goes to a particular Orisha. You see, so you can take care of, let's say you receive OYA, or you receive, Oshun and so forth. You can have their pots. Or let's say you receive your basic warriors, like Eshu, Ogun, and Ochosi. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're initiated into their mysteries. But since you have these elements, these give you the tools to start you out along the way and along your journey. So you can work with these Orishas, and just with these three, you can do a whole lot of things. But let's say if you want to get into the priesthood, and if it is your destiny to go into the priesthood, then what you're going to find that you'll receive another type of pot for Ogun and a separate pot for Ochosi, you see, because they also have their own mysteries. You can get initiated into the mystery specifically for Eshu as well. So when you're getting initiated into these mysteries of these Orishas, then you become the priest. You can divine, you can work for other people, with these Orishas. And if it's your path, if it's something that you are put into doing, right, and you build up a certain amount of knowledge, then people can come to you, not only just get a divination, but you can also do offerings and work on behalf of the people that need your help. Initiation, though, comes with a lot of dedication. It's not something that you just say, hey, man, I'm going to get initiated and collect these Orishas, because that's what some people do. They just get initiated, they receive a whole lot of stuff, and next thing you know, it's collecting dust on your shelf. No, you got to take care of the Orishas once you receive the Orishas. However, the Orishas also function out in nature. So you can go out to the crossroads if you want to connect with Eshu, or you can go along the trails to connect with Eshu, and come to a crossroads and talk to Eshu from there. You can go and meditate by a flowing river if you want to connect with Oshun. If you want to connect with Yemoja, you can go over there to a body of water like a lake or a beach. You see, you connect with Orishas like Yemoja and Olokun. Now, I would suggest, that you have someone to teach you how to work with these Orishas. You see what I mean? There's a lot of book knowledge out there. I suggest if you're going to study the Orishas, experiment what you see in this published material. Stay away from blood. Do not try to do any blood sacrifices, please. You cannot initiate yourself into an Orisha. You can get a relationship with an Orisha, but you cannot initiate yourself into the craft, because it's a craft where you have knowledge that's handed down to you that goes all the way back into time, primordial time. You see, so this is why it's good to have somebody to guide you so that you can know, because some Orishas like certain things, some Orishas don't like what a particular Orisha over here might like, you know. So there's a whole mystery to that. And also you have Orishas, you know, for just about everything. Some say there's 400 plus one Orisha, some say there's 200 plus one. Some say there's 400 plus one positive forces, 200 plus one negative forces, and so forth. That plus one, people may say that it's Eshu. But it's also an aspect of yourself called Ori. Ori is your head, right? But there's more to Ori than just your physical head. There's also that unseen part of you that is Ori. You have Ori Inu. And that is what's creating the physical manifestation of you is Ori Inu. So there's a prayer that says Ori Inu. We ask Ori Inu, that is inner head, to not destroy my outer head. So it talks about having alignment, is also being in tune with who you are. And sometimes there's rituals that are meant to actually feed the Ori to bring you back into alignment. Because a lot of it is dealing with being cool. So they talk about being cool and keeping a cool head. So that's what Orisha is about. So you have Egun. Egun, that's something I'm going to tell you about. You don't have to be initiated to work with your ancestors at all. Okay? But what I would tell you, that if you're going to work with your ancestors, do not mix the living with the dead. If you have pictures of your relatives that have passed on, do not put those pictures of those relatives that are alive, that are in the living realm, what we call this realm, on the altar or the place or the shrine, or where you are also paying homage to those who are on the other side. You don't want to mix those two, because you do not want to drag those on this side into the other side. You don't want to do that. Another thing I'd suggest is, a lot of times we want to identify with African history and so forth, and that's a good thing. But the ancestors also want to evolve. Okay, they don't want to be stuck. So, you know, there have been people who have had these misas or these seances where they have spoken with the ancestors, and the ancestors say they don't want to be identified with being slaves. So there's more to our ancestors than being slaves. That's something that they would stress a lot. Okay. The two things in my Ile that we work with, that's the foundation of our practice, is working with Ori and Egun. Why? Because Ori and Egun are definitely aspects of you. Okay. That's working with yourself, your consciousness, and your ancestors. That's the foundation. If you can't work with that, you can't work with your own consciousness, and if you cannot work with your ancestors, then you're not ready to work with Orishas. Okay, because the Orishas, they are also ancestral beings too, but the foundation of all this is Egun. Now there's forces of nature in which you work with, like Shango deals with fire, Arya, she can also deal with wind. She can also help you in business. So can Ogun. So can another deity or Orisha called Ajay. So all these different Orishas, they have different functions. But when you go, let's say, to Africa, you discover that some of these things overlap, because they may have seen Ogun in one particular kingdom as being the supreme head, or the highest of the Orishas there. Or you may go to places like Oyo, Shango, or to a place called Ketu, where it's Eshu, and so forth. You see what I mean? So all of the Orishas are servants of Olodumare. Now you can take yourself through what I call a journey. There's self-initiations in other forms, okay? Not into Orisha necessarily, but there's self-initiations in the form of making discoveries and spiritual discoveries. Okay, that's the best way I can mention that. And this is when, let's say, you find yourself having like an out-of-body experience. Well, that's an initiation, you see, because now you're learning that there's more to you than this physical body. Or you start having deja vu. There's been times that I've had the Orishas talk to me so strong that before I even got initiated, I asked Shango, was he my Orisha? And if so, let me know. Shango deals with wood. Wood carvers are connected to Shango as well. So I walked by a tree immediately after I asked that question, and a branch just like it just got hit by lightning. I didn't even see lightning striking, but the tree literally split. And later on, after I got readings, that's the only Orisha that kept coming up was Shango, Shango, Shango. Right? Now, before I did this podcast on OYA, or before I did this cast on OYA, all kind of stuff was happening. Last night, Oya came to me and said she wanted an eggplant. In the middle of when we was doing an ancestral ritual, we could not even close because Oya wanted something. They were pointing that I needed to give Oya something, and that is to acknowledge the fact that I was going to be doing this podcast today, or doing this, not podcast, but I'm so used to calling everything a podcast, this YouTube video today. You see, so the Orishas have ways of communicating with you to be, hey, if you're going to acknowledge me, then you're going to acknowledge me all the way. You see, so if you work with Eshu, let's say you're working with Eshu, sometimes people who have not even been initiated may have read about Eshu, made an offering of fruit to Eshu. Next thing you know, they're seeing his colors and his numbers everywhere and having dreams about him. I'm one of them. I'm one of those brothers that was doing that. You see? So there was a time when I was trying to run away from initiation because I felt that I didn't need to get initiated. Well, guess what? Things got really crazy for me. Things started falling apart in my life. And then I talked to a brother. The brother said, look, man, you know, if you refuse to get initiated, consider that a slap in the face to your ancestors, because it was my ancestors who was guiding me. And also, I talked to another brother who was an Awo. He said, look, if you're going to get initiated, if you're not going to get initiated now, you're going to get initiated in the next life. He was telling me I couldn't escape that. That was a pact that I'd already made. So when I took initiation, decided to go through the initiatory process, everything started clearing up and getting better and stabilizing in my life. So when we resist our destiny, a lot of times that's where we find that we encounter these problems, these hangups, these imbalances, and these challenges in our life. You see what I mean? You having that Shango at your feet, you may have had times when you find yourself rebelling because you
Yes.
didn't want people to just tell you anything. You're like,
They ain't
look, man,
tell
you
me
can't,
nothing.
you can't tell me nothing. That's that Shango at your feet. And finding yourself into situations where people are looking at you for leadership and everything else. And at
Yes.
the same time, you know, you're picking up on people who are hating or in people that want to help you. You're also having visions. A lot of times when people are children of Oya, it's good for them to learn how to become like mediums and how to go to
Mm,
like misas and seances to communicate with the spirit.
mm.
You
Okay.
know, so this does not require initiation into Orisha to go and learn how to communicate with spirit.
Mm. I will consider that. I've actually thought about it. I was in Virginia in May, and I
Mm-hmm.
visited a store, Aries Apothecary. For those of
Mm-hmm.
you in that area, they have a website, so you can go on there. Those of you who are familiar with my Facebook page, the candle on my cover photo is from that shop, Aries Apothecary. Check them out. But yes, the owner of that shop, the owners, they are from generations of that background. So I was listening into a few conversations with some of their customers, and I actually considered some the seances and other things you just mentioned seriously. I was seriously thinking, of course, over time in life, it came across me, and I was like, but here where I live at in Indianapolis, there's not like you just pop up at a store on the corner and walk in. That's
Mm-hmm.
just not something that ever crossed my mind to really get into until I started traveling on my lecture tours and seeing more places with those of you that are in the community when I come that show me around and where these places are at. So yes, that's been a consideration of mine. Also, for anyone that contacts you for their readings, these these suggestions you're giving now and this feedback, they will definitely receive a personalized one. So I encourage everyone to, again, get a reading if you're curious. Do not take all of what he's saying and right now as the tell-all of it. So in the case of Oshun, and you were talking about water earlier and cleansing, you had spoke to me about going to the river. And also about cleansing my head and cleaning it with coconut oil. So those are some specifics for me. So everyone will have their own specific task and or suggestion that I know you would give them just from what I know about you and how you communicate and all of what you just shared.
Thank you, Cherie. Cherie Reed L.
Cherie Reed L. Hashtag Unoccupied Turtle Island. Yes, the information is great. The knowledge, and then to tie it all into self, it's beautiful. It's great. What else? You also talked to me about avoiding confrontation. And picking my battles. I've been learning. I have an aunt who has been a guide. She does not realize it. Aunt. And then some of the matriarchs that are in the audience right now, Phoenix Jean, Cherie Riel, Charbet, I'm not seeing her. She was here. Those are some of the ones who have assisted me with cooling down, which is what some of that water was for my head, my hot head, some people have called me. And
oh, pardon me, Phoenix. Okay, I think I called Phoenix brother earlier.
Yeah, you did, but then you was like, "Well, Phoenix, yeah, my bad. Go ahead."
So, Phoenix. Okay, so Phoenix is the sister, peace and blessings queen. Yes. All right, so just want to let you know, I acknowledge that. Okay.
And you also spoke to me about voodoo possibly being a practice for me, which is something I've looked into seriously in the past 2 years. So again, like you were saying earlier, initiation is not an overnight thing. And for me, as I mentioned earlier, there are some things I'm considering. There are some things I already knew and I'm aware of and I'm looking at. And with the knowledge of it and things you shared, I see it more. It's magnified for me now. So, and when it comes to terms of healing, I definitely know there's a lot of things I need to heal within myself before I put my place in myself in a place to be available to others, like how you are, where I'm going to, people come to me and I do assist them with healing. But as far as providing services and marketing myself and put my name on something, I'm not there yet. Also in here, you definitely let's see. You already talked about basically that's everything. You also talked about Eshu being close to me. And excuse me for turning pages. She said no worries. And right now something got in my eye. I don't know what it is, but it's not. It's this timing of this what's going on right now with this eye. It's something else. Because it's not something in my eye, but it's something in my eye. Okay. All right. Right now, do you want to talk about the sacrifice? There was a sacrifice. There was a question of should a rooster be given to Eshu during my reading. You want to speak on that, or we not?
Well, yeah. The thing about it is that, if we got to get Eshu a rooster, then we got to get Eshu a rooster. You know what I mean? The thing about it too, Eshu takes rooster. Now what I tell people in the audience, if you don't have Eshu and if you're not required to give Eshu a rooster, please don't give Eshu a rooster. A lot of times, though, it can deal with the sacrificing the chicken within yourself too. So basically, being able to work with working with the sacrifice of the rooster It depends on the situation too. The person may also need to be cleaned off. But the rooster is given to Eshu. You can also give a rooster to Ogun and so forth. But if you're not in the tradition, you know what I mean? It just depends on what you want to give the rooster to Eshu for and what you need to give him. You know what I'm saying? So don't go out there. I don't want to hear about nobody who ain't got a E5 or ain't got no initiation going and giving the goat to anybody. I heard about one sister was giving a pigeon to Eshu like once a week. What for? I don't know. But I heard her life just spun out of control. She wasn't feeding Eshu. She was making him mad. Mm-hmm.
So also mantras.
Mm-hmm.
Are you providing people with their personal mantras? And we
Yeah,
also talked about the beads with the 108 count in the AM and the PM.
correct. Uh-huh. Now
And
when you
for
work,
me, excuse me right quick, mine that you gave me for personal was to open up my speech, more of my
mm-hmm.
speaking ability. But yes,
Mm-hmm.
if you will, for everyone else, speak on the mantras and the beads. Thank you.
All right. Now this goes outside of the Yoruba tradition, but it is something that is dear to my heart because what you're dealing with when it comes to sound vibrations is you're dealing with not only your personal sound, but the things that you want to manifest. Let's say if you want to manifest a relationship, right? You chant cling or clean. And that works with deities similar to like Oshun, right? Hetaru, um, and Lakshmi and so forth. You want to connect with other forces. Let's say you want to connect with energy similar to Shango, then you chant Hrim. So the way you do it is like Hrim, and you do this 108 times in the morning, Hrim, 108 times at night, Hrim. Get you the beads, and you grab a bead, right? Let me see if I got some. You simply Hrim, 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 Hrim. You can do that in the morning, and these are 108 beads. You can order them, or you can also order Rudrasha beads. And I learned about this, working with Baba Heri Kafra. Now, he's my Kemetic elder, but he also was dealing with the other forms of mysticism as well. You know, he was a devotee to Lord Shiva, and he also worked with the Gayatri mantra. So, you know, he would encourage me to do my mantras and chant to the deities 108 times each. And this is charging up the energy of those particular deities or those particular energies. The sound vibrations that I've been teaching you, a lot of those have been seed mantras, that you work with. Not only do they work with the chakras and so forth, but they also work with different parts of your personality. Aim. Aim works with deities similar to Eshu, okay, Alekba, and so forth, because it opens up the way, but it also deals with the intellect. It helps your intellect to expand. If you want to really break down barriers, you're working with energies similar to Ganesh, like Ogun. So Ganesh is kind of a combination, kind of like to Ogun and Eshu. So you chant gum, 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 gum. And what that does is that not only breaks down obstacles, but that too helps with your intellect as well. See, you want to develop your will. Ram, 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 Ram. Or a lot of times when people chant Om, and I've spoken about Om a couple of times. Om is just simply not only, trying to reach different levels of enlightenment, but also it thickens your auric field. So when people are around you, they can feel that energy. Om, Om. It's not just Om, it's Om, So I'm going to have more workshops. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have like classes individually on each of the seed sounds so that people understand what all is they're connecting to. because these seed sounds are also connected to the deities as well as faculties within yourself. You see. Um, Also, let's say you're working with the netter, right? I heard from Hadi Kafra, one of the things that he worked with is that he had the triple hesi, which the necharak amin ra, nutated amin ra, anuk amin ra, anicharak amin ra, nutated amin ra, anuk amin ra, anicharak amin ra, nutated amin ra, anuk amin ra, anicharak amin ra, nutated amin ra, anuk amin ra. And saying that ra, that's a word of power. Amun is a work of power. But the Kemetic language itself is pretty powerful. It's, you know, when you work it, you discover that it has a pretty high vibration to it. You know, so Baba Heru, I believe, it spoke about the vibrations being monitored on these Kemetic chants. And he was saying that the device that was used to monitor these vibrations, it kind of rose up and went pretty high on the meter of this particular device whenever those particular chants were utilized, you see. So we got to keep in mind that at one point in time, all the way in North Africa, going into the interior of Africa, there was a highway of knowledge going away into Asia because Africans could also just walk across the land bridge into Asia, and they took a lot of that knowledge with them all the way into Canaan and into India and so forth, you see. So we're constantly evolving, we're constantly transforming. Um, you know, so some would say that Lord Shiva was connected to the brothers and sisters of African descent, but they called him Rudrasa. Now there's a chant for him where they say, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. So you get into the song. Now the other day we was talking about Oshun, and we was talking about the songs, how she wants us to sing, right? But keep in mind, the song, the chanting, it always goes back to the breath. See, so now you're tapping into the energy of the breath again. So you can say Anecharak Amin Ra, Nutateret Amin Ra, Anuk Amin Ra. So you're breathing in silently. Anecharak Amin Ra, Nutateret Amin Ra, Anuk Amin Ra. Then you hold your breath. Then you breathe out. Anecharak Amin Ra, Nutateret Amin Ra, Anuk Amin Ra. Hold your breath again. Anecharak Amin Ra, Nutateret Amin Ra, Anuk Amin Ra. Breathing in. Anecharak Amin Ra, Nutateret Amin Ra, Anuk Amin Ra. So my Baba will do this at least 100 over, 1,000 times a day. You know, sometimes like 5,000 times a day. Becoming entranced and in tune and connected, expanding and growing his auric field, being able to summon the Netaru. And the more you do this, the more you'll be able to summon the Netaru. Ptah sekamit nefretum, Ptah sekamit nefretum, Ptah sekamit nefretum, Ptah, 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 Ptah. You see? You know, so yeah, that gets into a whole different spill, right? Ptah segment Nefertum heals and activates cosmic consciousness because Ptah segment Nefertum are also aspects of Nebeteshera, right? Amen Rahum for financial wealth and abundance. Remember too, the priesthood of Amun, Amen, were known to be very financially wealthy. Mm-hmm. So you're going to magnetize the things you want to you. Mm-hmm. Those deals with the chakras, and those also deals with like Kasham. Kasham deals with the third eye. Let's say if you get into the teachings of Ron Ephraim, you discover that he links OYA with Uchat and Nebutet, and the sound vibration would be Hang Kashang, Hang Kashang, Hang Kashang, Hang Kashang. Hang Kashang, and the sacred vows. Get into the Coptic teachings. Mm-hmm.
Apologies, I didn't mean for you to go into this presentation. I was just sharing them as you were saying them. I got kind of behind, but no pressure. I did not mean to put you here on purpose.
Oh, okay. I was like, okay, I guess this must be the bonus. This must
Like,
be the
she doubling
miscellaneous.
up on me.
You know,
No,
this
you
one.
mentioned them. And last, when you were here before with Oshun, and you had the song which you shared again today, I thought it'd be great if the words were on the screen so people could follow along real well. So can we get Khepra to do a meditation video.
We
Says
sure
Phoenix
can.
Team.
We sure can, beloved sister. We definitely can. You know, just let me know, a time that's good for everybody, and I'll set it up.
Okay, we'll do that. I'll talk to Phoenix Jane about that. We'll talk. Three more points I have, and to share from my readings for everyone to be aware of. You mentioned the shrines, the altars, and there were some specifics that you recommended me to do to have on mine, and I did those tasks and completed those, and all is well. Also, you told me near the end, do not accept secondary treatment.
Mm-hmm.
And I've added that to myself and my being and my attitudes and the way I carry myself and walk in life. I appreciate you sharing that guidance with me. And that's about it. Those are my points I wanted to share before we leave today. Everyone who's here, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you tuning in on the YouTube Karmic Dynasty channel. I appreciate you tuning in on Twitter, MKDTNT. I appreciate you tuning in also on Facebook, my Joy Allen page. At this time, I'm going to leave you all because I was just here to share my reading experience with Khepra Ptah. Order yours. Get yours. So I'm out of here. Khepra, I'm glad you had me here with you on your presentation today. And we'll see you next time, Khepra Ptah. Soon. I don't say next time because next week you'll be here again with Shango.
Definitely.
Okay, so somewhere in the mix, we'll be here for the meditation video. Peace to you all. Uncle Jasanel.
Uncle Jasanel.
You closing out, Khepra?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's going on with my picture? I'm like,
I don't know. You flipped.
What's going on? It's got me all sideways. Hold on a second. Let me see.
You sideways. Don't be all sideways.
I'm not trying to come at you sideways.
No, he ain't trying to come at us sideways, y'all. Here, y'all look at the sacred vows while Khepra gets himself unsideways and closes out his presentation. We appreciate everyone being here. Likes up, Royals. I'm excited. My bad. Y'all excuse me, please. Likes up. So yes, like the video, share, subscribe. The comments definitely I'm enjoying because it increases the interaction and we are learning so much from, and the energy is just great in here all sideways. So he is not all sideways anymore. So again, I'm going to head out and Khepra will be here with you all closing out. On that note, peace to you all.
Give thanks and praise to all the Orishas. I give thanks and praise to the ancestors of all those who have participated. I give thanks and praise to the Oris, that is, the conscious spirits of all those who are part and participated in this video. For those of you who want readings, or should I say consultations, which they actually are more so, please contact me. Let me know. Send me the information. I need your mother's first name, your date of birth, and we can set up a time. I'm usually available during the early parts of the day. And on Mondays and Tuesdays and earlier parts of the day. So if you're interested, let me know. Until then, peace and blessings to each and every one of you. Odabu. Atapu.